Bonsoir, good evening everyone. We'll get the meeting started. Roll call, all members of council are present. I'll ask everyone to please stand for the prayer and the national anthem. Bonsoir, good evening everyone. We're in stereo, nice. Attendu que le Canada est fondé sur des principes qui reconnaissent la suprématie de Dieu et la primauté du droit, prenons un moment de réflexion personnelle. Whereas Canada is founded upon principles that recognize the supremacy of God and the rule of law, let us take a moment of personal reflection. Thank you, everyone. Move on. Item 4, additions, deletions, or amendments. We have a few changes. Item P will be moved before item A. And then we'll add a few items under 18, under 18A, under myself for the budget dates. 18B will be Conseiller Brisson in regards to the Emerald Commercial Park. Item 18C will be Conseiller André Brisson in regards to radio station. And item 18D will be Councillor Saucier in regards to Terry Fox. Anything else? Conseiller Laurent?
It probably will fall under A, but we talk about timing as well, not just date, but times.
Sure.
Okay.
Budget discussions in general.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cover there like that, I mean.
Okay. Anything else, members of council? No? Okay. Motion to approve the agenda as modified. I need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Conseiller Brisson, seconded by Conseiller Laurent. All those in favor? All those opposed? Carried. Item 6, disclosure of pecuniary interest. Councillor Associate.
I don't have pecuniary interest, but I just want to make sure everyone's aware that I do live in one of the unserviced areas in my city.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Councillor Associate. Item 7, adoption of the minutes, regular council minutes of August 12th, 2019, the special council minutes of August 20th, 2019. Motion to approve the following minutes as presented. Need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Associate, seconded by Councillor Kanofsky. Questions? All those in favor? All those opposed? Carried. Item 8, presentations, we have none. Item 9, delegations, we do have a delegation, but I see Madame Patenaude hasn't arrived yet. So we'll just move on, and when she gets here, then we'll come back to that item. We'll move on with item 10, consent items. Motion that all items listed on consent items be received as presented. Item A, the minutes of the Environmental Advisory Committee of June 5th, 2019, and item B, the minutes of the Russell Historical Society of June 10th, 2019. Mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Saucier, seconded by Conseiller Laurent. All those in favor? All those opposed? Carried. Move on to section 11, reports from departments and council committees. Item A, zoning bylaw amendment, report PD 89.
Mr. Mayor,
Wait,
11P first.
P, yes, my apologies, Chief, yes, we are moving with P ahead of A. Item P, Fire Department Quarterly Report, Report Russ/M 05/2019. The council receives Report Russ/M 05/2019 dated September 3rd, 2019. Questions, comments, members of council? Pretty standard quarterly report. Anything to add, Monsieur Leduc or Chief Armstrong?
Mr. Mayor, members of council, just there's a couple verbal points on the report. One, we're recertifying our tanker shuttle certification. It's required every 5 years, so we're doing that together with the two departments on September 28th. And just a little bit of history for those who don't know it. It provides, when you get that certification, it provides people outside the hydrant area the same kind of fire insurance as you do beside a hydrant. So residents 8 kilometers from each fire hall, and commercial buildings 5 kilometers from each fire hall get a reduced rate depending on the insurance company. So that's what that's all about. And the other verbal is just an update that we have been working on a master fire plan since April. It's been quite a task, and we're hoping to present by the end of October to council.
Perfect, thank you very much, Chief. Councilor Tanowski?
I apologize, I did have a question, but I was just scrolling down my agenda here. So thank you for the report, Chief. I just, quick question. In Q2 compared to last year's Q2, I noticed there were less calls. Is this just an anomaly, or is this a trend, or is there something that reasoning behind it? Or just
No, I can't say
unfortunate?
there's a trend. I guess it's a hit and miss. If there's anything on Embrum's quarterly report, there was actually 4 fires, nothing major, but that was a little hike in the fire, but overall the calls were down.
Okay, great, thank you.
Nothing particular to cause that, so maybe it's good public education.
Thank you very much, Chief. All right, thank you very much. We'll move on to item A. Zoning bylaw amendment report PD 89/2019. Property known, described as being part of lot 15, concession 10 being part 1 on plan 50R 9875, and known as properties along the South of Dune Street in Limog, to remove H. Questions, comments, members of council? Pretty standard stuff. Anything to add from the administration? No? We'll move on to item B, removal of part lot control report PD 91/2019, CH Clement Construction Inc. for properties known as 324, 326, 328, and 330, 316, 318, 320, and 322, 308, 310, 312, and 314, and 300, 302, 304, and 306 Twilight Avenue in Russell. Questions, comments, members of council? Anything to add from the administration? No? Move on to item C, removal of part lot control report PD 98/2019, property owned by Philippe Briard and known as 451-453 Maze Street in Embrun. Questions, comments, members of council? No? Anything back from the min? No? We'll move on. Item D, water and sewer allocation report PD 92/2019. 1 unit of municipal water and sewer for the property owned by Colette Latramoy and described as part lot 9, concession 7, being part 1 of plan 50R 10899, vacant lot on Castle Street in Embrun. Questions, comments, members of council? No? Anything to add from the administration? It's pretty standard. We'll move on. Item E, authorization to execute a subdivision agreement, report PD 97/2019, property owned by Anthony Corvinelli and John Corvinelli Investments Limited for phase 6 for a parcel of land legally described as part of lot 12, concession 3, Station Trail in Russell. Questions, comments, members of council? Anything to add from the administration? No? Move on. Item F, Economic Development Departmental Report, report EcoDev 07/2019. Monsieur Leduc, Madame Tremblay, comments on your report?
Of course. Donc, bonsoir, membres du conseil. Donc, je vais prendre encore l'opportunité juste de parler un petit peu des exploits du département et des choses qu'on travaille processus au niveau du département. Au niveau du Russell Transpo, as you know, we renewed the contract with 417 Bus Line. It's a contract that was renewed for 3 years, so it's good until June 2022. Just based on that, we've attached the monthly report for the revenues, and the good news is that since the contract was renewed with 417 Bus Line, we are anticipated to have an increase of revenue of $20,000 compared to last year, so which is really great. We see a lot of new clients that are using our buses, and this is calls that we get très fréquemment des nouveaux arrivants au niveau dans le village de Russell et d'Embrun qui veulent prendre l'autobus. Donc les gens n'ont pas trop été affectés avec l'annonce que le train arrive, l'ouverture le 14 septembre, donc nos routes demeurent les mêmes. We've attached to the report just the email for your information in case you have any questions. This email was sent to all the riders of using already the bus, and it was also advertised on Facebook that the routes are remaining the same even though if the train is starting September 14th. And so we're keeping the same routes and same schedule, and we don't expect any change. The only thing that we've been advised from 417 Bus Line is maybe a delay of 5 or 10 minutes until everything gets in order with the train being under trial, I should say. So we're not expecting any major delay about with our buses. For the other reports that were completed by the department, so as you know, we had the retail market analysis that was almost a share with everyone. It's on our website as well, and with all new project that we're talking with the builders, we're sharing that market analysis, and it seems like it's really appreciated to see exactly what type of businesses that we're reaching and trying to get and build in our township. We've also completed a hotel study, so based on the growth that we're projecting to see if a need of a hotel would be required, and based on the complex that we're looking at building, so what would be the impact? So this is something also that was produced by the same consultant as the market analysis. We've also, I don't know if you have been seeing this, but we've conducted a survey to see the need of a co-working center. So we've been working with 2 residents of Russell that are really taking this file under their belt and helping the staff of the township to make sure that it's something that we're seeking to create a co-working space. We're reaching with La Cité also that is going to help us in this project. So we're meeting with them next week, and it's something that is in our business plan. So we're working with partners to make sure that qu'on pourrait réaliser un co-working space in the township of Russell. We've also held 3 lunch and learns. So one of them was the business plan, so how to create a business plan for the businesses. It was held on April 25th, and we had about 20 people that attended. And we also had one in recruitment services. So there's a bunch of agencies that came and explained how businesses could recruit staff. And there was about 20 people, 25 businesses that attended the event. For the 417 Industrial Park, we've hired Henson Sign. So the sign at the entrance of the business park of the 417 Industrial Park will be installed and completed by the end of September. And the advertising program is on the way for businesses to be able to advertise on our sign. As you know, we've purchased 60 acres of new industrial park, and 18 of them is already sold. In the next page of the report, you could see the revenues that we're anticipating in tax. And just to make it clear, the taxes that are identified in the table are the municipal share only, so not the county share. And those are expecting to be anticipated in the next couple of years for the Township of Russell. And you could see all the new businesses that will be in our 417 Industrial Park. Just for your information as well, we've prepared a grant application for la revitalisation de la rue principale. So as you know, in the streetscape master plan, we identified some of the project, and one of them will be applied to get money from the RED program. So that it's, the due date for the grant application is September 9th. Nous sommes en train de développer des termes de référence pour mettre un comité de développement économique en place. Donc, on a déjà des volontaires à tous les événements où on a créé les Lunch and Learn, Connect with Russell. On a amassé des noms de gens qui étaient déjà intéressés de faire partie du comité de développement économique. Les termes de référence pour créer ce comité-là vont être rapportés au conseil pour que les membres du conseil puissent être au courant de ça va être quoi le mandat du comité. Nous sommes à organiser le rendez-vous des saveurs locales, donc notre 4e édition pour le saveur local. Il y a déjà à peu près 20 kiosques enregistrés pour l'événement. Puis l'événement aura lieu le 26 octobre cette année. Donc, je suis disponible s'il y a des questions.
Merci, Madame Tremblay. Question, members of council? Councilor Associate and Councilor Canasi?
Well, it was a very great report, and I was happy to see the ridership has increased. And I just wanted to basically comment that, the business retention was really important, collaborating with the local entrepreneurs, and I like that you were recognizing new businesses and welcoming them and things like that the township is doing that. And I thought the lunch and learns and the businesses connecting, and I was happy to see the waiting list for the industrial park. The one question I had was, what is the OEMC conference in Cornwall?
So it's the Ontario East Municipal Conference,
Right.
and it's next week.
That's not the same thing that you just sent us, there's one in October.
No, that's the Committee of Adjustment.
Okay.
A good point, just to, so every month, as you know, we're doing business profile, and there's been a lot of requests from the businesses that we do that business profile, that we advertise in Le Reflet, and we also share their story and how they started businesses and their suggestion for new entrepreneurs, or what they would do wrong, what they would do better and stuff like that. So we do that in the Reflet. But there's a lot of people that when we went to visit back, they still have the Reflet article on a piece of paper. So we thought in the budget of this year to maybe have a plaque with the article, so we could give back and make sure that they keep the article and make sure that the township was there to visit them and welcome them in the township. So this is something that you'll see as part of the budget of 2020.
Thank you. Councilor Canasi?
Merci, votre équipe a été super occupée, bravo. J'ai une couple de questions. Premièrement, sur le transport. Je vois si je regarde les statistiques comme de fait, janvier puis mars, c'est le plus occupé, puis durant l'été, c'est le moins occupé. J'aimerais juste faire une suggestion que possiblement pour essayer d'encourager plus de personnes à essayer le service, de peut-être baisser les prix durant l'été, puis de just to maintain the revenues to look at maybe increasing them in the January-March season, a little bit like airlines do. That may fund a little bit of a discount in the summer to try to encourage some more people to try it out. On the market demand study, j'avais juste une question. Co-working center, is that like shared office space? Is that what that is?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a use, like I want to rent space for an hour, 2 hours kind of. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. I just wanted to be sure. Congrats on the rendezvous. I would, I know it's a lot of work, but if we could do that twice a year, it would be amazing. Just saying. It is amazing. It's a really great way for local residents to experience some of the local businesses, and I, for one, partook in that. Go twice. I go monthly, actually. And then just the last question in regards to the industrial park signage. I just wanted to check. So we're just starting the selling the sign space. I thought we had, it was all sold, wasn't it?
So we already approved the prices per advertisement.
Yeah.
When we meet businesses on a current basis, we talk to the owner, so we already have people on the list. And council approved the price already, and it's just that to have to formalize the advertisement package.
Okay.
So for some of the spaces that we still have left.
Okay, so we do have spaces left.
Yes.
Merci. D'autres questions? Conseiller Brisson?
Justement, parlant de la pancarte, à quel pourcentage que vous avez venu à bout d'avoir déjà les choses confirmées?
Donc, il y a 10 espaces sur l'enseigne. On en a 5 de confirmés. Puis juste pour vous rassurer, au niveau du budget, on avait planifié pas les avoir toutes cette année. Donc, on avait budgété en prenant en considération qu'on aurait à peu près juste 4 à 5 mois d'advertisement, puis qu'on avait juste la moitié des espaces. Donc, techniquement, on ne devrait pas avoir un impact dans le budget 2019 au niveau de... à moins qu'il y ait des problèmes de combler le reste. Là. Ça m'étonnerait. Les gens sont pas mal intéressés d'aller.
Il y en a des nouvelles qui vont probablement arriver là, avec le développement de la nouvelle section.
Oui, définitivement.
Puis aussitôt que l'enseigne est montée, puis le monde y voit qu'il y a des pancartes, ils vont dire hey, j'aimerais savoir mon nom, ça pancarte, le plus vite possible. Il devrait se remplir assez vite, je pense. Monsieur Brisson?
Tu avais parlé aussi qu'il y avait eu une étude pour un hôtel. Est-ce qu'il y a eu des résultats de cette étude-là?
Oui, donc on peut vous envoyer aussi l'étude. C'est pas quelque chose qu'on a présenté au conseil. C'est découlé du plan d'action qu'il y avait eu dans le market analysis. Le consultant qui avait fait le market analysis a suggéré de faire la deuxième étape, de voir un plan d'action, si vous voulez, qui découle du market analysis. Puis un de ça, c'est qu'il a reconnu à cause du dôme, du complexe sportif, de tout ce qui s'en venait au niveau d'Amazon, les employés qui ont des 24 sur 7 les chiffres de travail. Lui a tout de suite identifié que ces 3 éléments-là pourraient déclencher le besoin d'un hôtel. Donc, si on avait justement des développeurs qui étaient intéressés, qu'on pourrait avoir les réponses pour eux autres, parce qu'on a déjà fait faire l'étude. Donc, oui, il y a un certain moment où, par exemple, quand le complexe va être construit, quand Amazon va être déjà en place, oui, il y a un besoin d'un hôtel qui a été identifié dans le rapport. Donc, c'est quelque chose qu'on peut vous faire parvenir, c'est certain, au niveau des membres du conseil.
Conseiller Brisson?
C'était une très bonne idée aussi pour les lunch and learn. Juste la question, je ne sais pas si on avait été invité en tant que conseiller, c'est tout le temps de quoi que j'aurais pas à y recevoir pour pouvoir avoir la chance de discuter avec les autres entreprises et soi-même de voir de qu'est-ce qui est dedans. Je ne sais pas si c'est de quoi qui est
L'invitation a été faite au nom du conseil. Donc, ce qu'on avait fait, il y en a les 3. Donc, on en avait fait 3, puis on vous avait envoyé l'invitation des 3 dans le même avec les sujets des 3 lunch-and-learn.
Ça rentre, si je m'en rappelle bien, ça rentrait comme un courriel indépendant.
Oui, c'est ça. On a fait sûr de vous inviter là, à ces événements-là. On essaie le plus possible d'avoir des représentations des membres du conseil. C'est certain que les entreprises aiment ça aussi, jaser avec vous quand vous êtes là.
C'est bien juste avoir un reminder quand c'est plus proche. Parce que tu sais, quand tu les mets tout ensemble, des fois tu l'oublies ou des choses comme ça. S'il y a un reminder, ça serait...
Je peux vous envoyer un Outlook aussi si vous voulez, comme une invitation au niveau de votre agenda. Pour,
c'est posté sur le site web, les médias sociaux de la municipalité, tout ça aussi. Ça.
Le plus de monde qu'on est, mieux que c'est certain.
Oui.
Donc, je vais faire une note de juste vous l'envoyer par une invitation.
J'ai eu une couple de commentaires excellents de personnes qui étaient venues, du premier, toujours, tout ça. Donc, il y avait vraiment bien aimé, tout ça.
C'est vraiment tout le temps bien reçu d'avoir les informations. Puis, par après, j'ai rencontré des gens qui ont fait des présentations au niveau du recrutement. Puis, ils ont eu des nouveaux clients basés sur le lunch and learn. Donc, il y a des entreprises qui sont allées les rencontrer personnellement pour pouvoir les aider dans leur plan d'affaires, de recruter des employés. Donc, je pense que ça fonctionne. On n'en fait pas durant l'été parce que c'est souvent les vacances, mais on va replanifier 1 ou 2 pour le reste de l'année.
C'est parfait. Merci.
D'autres questions, commentaires dans du conseil? Non? On va continuer avec les sujets. Item G, pay list of July 2019. Questions, comments, members of council? Councilor Sosi?
I was just wondering if we can get ever details on the expenses.
You just have to ask.
Yeah. No, I'm just curious, because it's just a report and it just says, what was the expense, but
Yep.
it doesn't say what the expense was, and I'm just thinking sometime it might be kind of interesting to know.
Yeah, you can bring your questions at council table, or you can just send an email off to Monsieur Godin, and I'm sure he'll be happy to answer your question.
Okay, merci.
D'autres questions, commentaires? No? Move on to the next item. Item H, tax adjustments pursuant to section 357 of the Municipal Act, report FS 31, 2019. Questions, comments, members of council? No? Anything to add from the administration? No, pretty standard stuff. Item I, amendment to the traffic and parking bylaw, report PIC 23, 2019, part C, sections 84 and 85, which regulate the barrier-free parking. Questions, comments, members of council? Councilor Janoski.
This is just a question, so this policy, if I have a small business with only 3 parking spots, one of them has to be designated, is that correct? I just wanna make sure I fully understand that. One has to be reserved for barrier-free, is that the policy?
Yes.
Okay.
The problem we had is that the parking bylaw didn't match the zone bylaw.
Okay,
So this is just so,
alignment.
yes.
Okay, great, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Anything to add from the administration? No? We'll move on to the next item, item J, transfer of funds, report PIC 27, 2019. Council receives report PIC 27, 2019, dated September 3rd, 2019, approves as recommended in this report to create a new reserve for cannabis-related matters and transfer extra funds into such reserves. Questions, comments, members of council? Councilor Tarnowski?
So we received just under 23,000 from the government, bylaw put in 10K on their budgets, and so the remainder goes in reserve. We get that. Would it be possible at all if we can get some sort of report from bylaw to understand what are some of the additional costs that we've incurred in regards to that money that's been spent, that's been put on the budget? So we had put 10,000 in the budget, and just to get an idea of what the additional costs are. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Monsieur Leduc, Madame Bordeaux? I don't think we've incurred any extra costs at this point in time.
Just basically the time for
Research?
research and writing the policy, and now we're finishing up the bylaw, the smoking bylaw to make the changes to incorporate cannabis in.
Okay. Thank you.
D'autres questions, commentaires? Quelque chose d'autre à ajouter? Councilor Lorrain?
So are we putting the 22,000 into the reserve, or are we putting just the 12,000? Because we had a budget amount of 10,000, which I'm assuming that's what we're taking into account there. So is the 10,000 going into the operating funds of the department, and then the 12 going into the reserve, or are we just putting all 12 into the reserve? Or all 22 into the reserve?
Monsieur Leduc?
Conseil, bonsoir. No, we're just putting the 12,000, the excedent, into reserve, because the rest was already budgeted in the operations.
Okay. And are we anticipating any additional funds, or not funds, any invoices or expenses over the next 3 months that would affect that 10,000? Like, are we putting enough into the reserve? Like we said, we thought 10,000 at the beginning of the year when we made the budget. Now we're in September. Do we think that 10,000 still makes sense, or should we just go down to 5,000 and put 17,000 into reserve?
Monsieur Leduc?
Well, we would see probably if the department has a surplus at the end of the year, or close to the end of the year, we could see if the department has surplus, and if he has some room to maneuver, maybe a consideration of adding more to a reserve, we can certainly take that into note, and when Mr. Godin makes his report to council regarding future reserves or anticipated surplus, we can probably refer back to council about the question.
So then this is what I propose to council then is, understanding that all operational reserves get pretty much lumped together, and you make recommendations on the surpluses at the end of the year, if there is any. I think that if we receive $22,000 and we don't spend a penny of it, that 22,000 goes into reserves at the end of the year for cannabis-related items, because we don't know what's gonna happen next year and what we're gonna need. So I think we keep that cannabis grant money, or whatever you wanna call it, or cannabis fund from the province, separate from the additional surplus monies at the end of the year. But that's my suggestion.
Councillor Tomowski?
I just want to clarify, it's 12,932, I think is the amount, because the 10,000 is already in operations. So I would assume that that's the 13,000 we're talking about. I don't see a problem with that, for that 13,000 anyways. If there is a need for it, I mean, we can ask the subject matter expert, and then we'll know if we believe that that's something that we should plan for, that given that it's been legalized now and we've gone through a bit of a learning process here, is this something that we should reserve that money for down the road?
Monsieur Leduc, Madame Bourbeau?
I find it still a bit premature to know. There's still a lot of unknowns on this file, so at this point in time, I can't say for sure that we're not going to have some expense in the future.
So the reserve makes sense.
Okay. Conseiller Buisson?
Mais en parlant de dépenses qu'il y a eu comme CEDA, c'est ça, on ne sait pas, comme pour le 10 000 $, c'est qu'est-ce qui avait été budgété pour ce sujet-là directement. Je crois que, qu'est-ce que le conseiller Lorrain, c'était de ce 10 000 $, est-ce qu'on va l'utiliser pas mal, ou si ça va être, comme qu'elle disait, pour préparer ces rapports-là, qu'on va en prendre rien que 5 000 de ce 10 000 $, puis qu'on pourra transférer l'autre 5 000 en réserve.
Mais c'est ça, comme
On va voir.
c'est l'argent qu'on avait été dit qu'on était pour recevoir, le premier 10 000. Donc là, on l'a mis au budget. On peut voir d'ici à la fin de l'année si on n'a pas de surprise de rien. On sait que, oui, c'est pour réglementer le cannabis, mais aussi, on a aussi des entreprises qui viennent s'établir ici. Donc, je ne sais pas s'il va y avoir des frais rattachés avec ça. Il y a un paquet de choses c'est tout nouveau, donc on ne peut pas savoir. J'aimerais mieux attendre et voir à la fin de l'année si il nous reste de l'argent, ben peut-être que là on peut, comme M. Laurent dit, de le rapporter à la réserve.
Est-ce que c'est 10 ou 22 000 combien?
Ben, on avait budgété 10 000, mais on a reçu 22 000.
C'est ça, la subvention était 22 000.
Le gouvernement a dit ceux qui participaient,
Oui.
ils étaient pour avoir 10 000. Tout le monde, essentiellement, était pour avoir 5 ou 10 000. Puis après ça, les revenus d'extra, il y avait le potentiel pour l'argent d'extra. Puis dans ce cas-ci, on a reçu pratiquement 13 000 pièces de plus que qu'est-ce qu'on anticipait
C'est ça,
dans le budget.
on l'a reçu comme ça.
Oui, c'était l'argent qui a été reçu.
J'étais juste confirmé.
Okay, so everybody's good with just continuing down what the report suggests. If ever there's more funds that are determined that weren't used, then we come back to a report later in the next few months. Okay, everybody's good with that? Okay. Conseiller Lorrain?
Yeah, I just want to clarify my comment there is, I'm hoping that when that report comes for surplus, if there's surplus money at the end of the year, that line item is separated out, that it came from that money, so that we know where we can allot it to. My preference would be to put it into the cannabis reserve and not into the general reserve for other things.
That was good.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure that it's clear for everyone.
Okay, perfect. Other questions? No, we'll move on to the next item. Ici, Madame Patenaude est arrivée. Alors, on a sauté en avance l'agenda. Tu n'étais pas ici, mais je vous invite à venir au Lutrin et faire votre présentation.
D'abord, excusez-moi, j'ai eu une urgence qui ne m'a pas permis d'être ici à 6 heures.
Il n'y a pas de trop.
Merci de me permettre de faire ma présentation de toute façon. Alors, je suis Estelle Patenaude, je suis la propriétaire de la propriété qui est située au 189B, où la brasserie Tuc de Bron se situe au Palme. Je souhaite améliorer la façade et l'accessibilité à la propriété dans le but de rendre le bâtiment visuellement plus attrayant et plus accessible pour la clientèle et le visiteur. Je souhaite aussi restaurer le bâtiment en conformité avec les critères d'esthétique et d'accessibilité identifiés dans le PAC, donc le programme d'amélioration commerciale, pour m'agencer aux plus récentes bâtisses des alentours et avoir une identité plus cohérente avec celle du village créé par ce programme depuis 2016. Compte tenu qu'il reste de l'argent dans le budget PAC, compte tenu que la propriété du 189B est adjacente à la zone commerciale en brun ouest désignée éligible au programme PAC, je ne sais pas si vous avez eu la chance de voir le document, et que les services municipaux sont maintenant installés tels que prévu dans le plan officiel voulant que toutes les régions visées pour la croissance soient pourvues de services municipaux, que la structure de la bâtisse répond déjà à certains critères identifiés dans le programme, tels d'avoir une avancée de toit qui rend la bâtisse plus invitante et approchable, et que la brasserie Tuc de Beau a un impact significatif sur l'économie de la communauté et que ces activités contribuent au développement économique souhaité par la municipalité. Donc, vous avez vu que j'ai ramassé les critères qui sont dans le programme là, pour faire ressortir ma demande, puis des points qui jouent en ma faveur. Je demande au Conseil d'accepter une exception afin que la propriété du 189B soit éligible à faire une demande pour le programme d'incitation PAC. Alors, merci de prendre ma demande en considération.
Parfait. Merci beaucoup, Madame Patenaude. M'a demandé une question de Madame Tremblay. I'm pretty sure I know the answer, but correct me if I'm wrong, the CIP plan is essentially a planning document that needed to go through a whole process that's approved by the province. So what Madame Patenaude is asking is, does council have the ability to simply allocate funds, or is there a whole process we have to go through?
Donc, le programme de CIP, c'est un programme qui est adopté par le Conseil par un règlement dans lequel on identifie des secteurs spécifiques sur lesquels on veut se concentrer pour mettre cet investissement-là. Donc, le Conseil, avec le règlement qu'on a en place, n'a pas l'opportunité d'utiliser ces fonds-là qui sont associés aux secteurs identifiés dans le règlement sur d'autres propriétés qui sont en dehors du règlement. La seule façon de le faire, c'est de faire un amendement à notre CIP, puis pour faire ça, il faut recommencer le processus public. Donc, ça, c'est régi sous le Planning Act. C'est la seule façon qu'on a le droit d'utiliser des fonds pour des entreprises privées, c'est si les secteurs sont identifiés dans le règlement comme tel. Donc, nous, dans notre plan d'affaires, cette année, on a déjà un tender qui sort pour faire un programme comme ça qui s'adapterait pour le parc industriel et pour le parc d'affaires ici. Donc, ce que je propose au Conseil, c'est d'avoir nécessairement, comme Mme Patenaude mentionnait, il y a des critères qui sont spécifiques qui, nous, ont été développés en fonction de revitaliser la rue principale. C'est le but initial de ce programme-là. Plus le programme est étalé, moins les résultats sont visibles de la rue. Donc, it's better to concentrate your area so you see your investment. That's why it's more advantageous for the township to have a specific area that would gather the same type of businesses in that same specific project. So we're under way to have a same kind of project that council will see, but specific for the 417 Industrial Park and for the business park. That would be different criteria than the Main Street in Embrun and Russell.
Okay, so essentially, if I understand properly, this is currently underway right now?
Yeah.
Do we have a timeline in regards to when this?
So, yeah, the tender will go out in 2 weeks.
Okay.
And then we usually give 3 weeks for the bidders to come back with a price. So we expect sometime in November to have a report to council to select the consultant. Basically, it's already done. We'll just have to sit down and redo the public meetings as part of the property owner of those specific area to see what they would like to be included as part of the design criteria.
Okay.
And then in the budget of 2020, we'll have amounts that will have be included for those specific areas that are not part of the village core.
Okay.
The question then will come up of, right now we have 70,000. This year we spent about 44. So council will have to decide if we're adding more money to the program or if we're cutting down from the one that we have right now on the main street. Those are questions that will come up at the 2020 budget.
Right, because historically, we've been putting a certain amount every year.
Yeah.
Now, since there's money left over in that program, council could put a little less in that one, and with new CIP areas, if you will, created, council could deviate and put some funds in those as opposed to just keep topping up the other one continuously.
Yeah, and more area, less money, right?
It'll
Unless
be
we
part of
put
the
more.
budget discussion. And then at that point in time, once council approves those, then businesses like Madame Patenaude's would have the ability to apply.
Yeah.
As you mentioned, criteria might be slightly different, and it might be a slightly different program.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're already in that process right now. If we have to go through an amendment, we're gonna go through the same process anyways, essentially, right?
Yeah.
So, questions, Conseil Larin?
Can they apply retroactively, or is it just for future? What I mean by that is if there's a business that wants to move forward now because they need to get their stuff up and running, but the program comes in 6 months later, can they apply for a portion or subsidy of that amount that they've used to make the facade nicer or whatever? Is that something that is possible under today's or possible under the future?
Madame Tremblay?
So the way it works is usually before the owner makes the application, they will come to us and we'll discuss about the design guidelines. So like I mentioned, this one could not be reviewed because we don't have the design guidelines at this point. And technically the funds are different as well. So you have a $10,000 max, but it depends if the facade, right now it's a max of 7,000 or 50% of what you spent on making your facade more beautiful, then the program may vary for the business part. Because the project may be bigger, we may want to increase that 7,000 from each area, that the amount could be completely different, right?
So
Yeah.
in essence, it's better to wait till the design criteria is in
Until
place.
we have the criteria as and the amount that would come with it for sure.
Right, because they might go ahead and do the work, and then all of a sudden, it doesn't meet the criteria, but if, it could have been one little thing that could have been different, that would allow them to meet the criteria,
Yeah.
but then they miss out. Madame Patenaude?
Est-ce qu'il y a des risques que le programme ne serait pas accepté et que ça n'aille pas de l'avant, cette proposition-là?
C'est tout le temps un risque. Je veux dire, ça va faire partie des discussions budgétaires, mais je peux dire que le programme existant a été un gros succès. Alors, personnellement, je vois que améliorer le programme puis une grosse envergure à d'autres, pas nécessairement d'autres areas, si tu veux, d'autres superficies, je vois le bénéfice de ça. Mais évidemment, c'est une décision du conseil. So, est-ce qu'il y a un risque? Oui, potentiellement, il y a un risque, comme n'importe quelle décision du conseil. Mais avec le succès, c'est une bonne indication. Monsieur Leduc?
Peut-être pour Mme Patenaude, peut-être la question du budget est adoptée maintenant vers la fin novembre. Donc, vous auriez réponse à votre question, la dernière question, par la fin novembre, s'il y a un risque ou non. Si votre projet est pour le printemps prochain, on va savoir définitivement en novembre si c'est disponible pour vous.
Parce que je l'aurais fait avant l'hiver, évidemment.
Ok.
Si,
Donc, l'échéancier pour nous, pour le budget au conseil, c'est
au mois de
fin
novembre.
novembre.
Councilor Tonosky?
Juste une dernière question, Mme Tremblay. Est-ce qu'une fois que les consultants ont fini leur rapport, ça doit être approuvé par le gouvernement provincial, c'est ça?
Non, c'est juste une résolution. Dès qu'on a les critères dans le plan officiel, on a l'autorité d'approuver le CIP. Donc, à ce moment-là, c'est les membres du conseil qui ont l'autorité d'approuver le règlement qui régit notre CIP et les secteurs.
La province, elle indique vraiment le processus qu'on va prendre pour le mettre en place. Ça, c'est les étapes qu'il faut suivre. Conseiller?
And just one last piece. If in this circumstance, Madame has to move forward before winter hits, just because that's the way her business is, could she apply once it goes into effect? And if she qualifies, would she be able to benefit from the program? or if she doesn't wait until the spring and it's implemented, council says yes, that we're gonna fund it, does she have to wait? I know it's better to wait, because then you know all the criteria, but if she has to move forward, and that's her business, she has to move forward, could she retroactively apply in the spring for work that happened in the fall? Understanding that she may not meet all the criteria, and if that happens, but is there even a potential for work?
Ultimately, would be council's decisions, you know, behind.
Yeah, and at the same time, we can't commit funds that are not there at the same time, right? So-
Not committing any funds, I'm just, under today's CIP, could somebody apply after they did the work?
So yes, but they are in the CIP, so the funds are there. So let's say you give me your receipt for your painting of your facade, I know that the program was in place whenever the receipt is done. So now if the receipt is done November, but it's out of the program, then technically we're not entitled to get that money.
So then the answer is no.
Exactly.
That's what I'm asking,
Yeah.
to make sure that
I
somebody.
didn't wanna say no because I always say no. I'm trying to find a solution. So it would be better to have the application once ever the program and the funds are allocated for that specific area.
All right, thank you.
Autre question?
Ça, j'ai ma réponse.
Et voilà, le processus est en place, on va le suivre le plus rapidement possible, et on va essayer d'avoir des réponses concrètes pour la fin du budget.
Puis advenant que, on parle de budget au mois de novembre, là. Ouais. OK, mais admettons que le programme il serait accepté, vous avez des consultants à voir, puis que c'est avant, est-ce que le conseil pourrait prendre l'argent qui reste puis l'envoyer dans le programme, dans ce nouveau programme-là, pour accélérer, pour attendre le budget? Je sais pas,
Madame Tremblay?
Avec les réunions publiques qui sont obligatoires, ça va arriver probablement à la même période de temps. Ouais. Parce qu'une fois qu'on a la réunion publique, il faut en faire une avant, une après que le règlement soit approuvé. Donc, par le temps qu'il faut qu'on publie les réunions publiques, qu'on ait un 20 jours, à ce moment-là, ça va arriver probablement après le budget.
Oui, parce que réalistiquement, il y a un autre meeting au mois de septembre, 2 au mois d'octobre avec les sessions budgétaires, on est rendu au mois de novembre pour le temps que c'est approuvé.
D'accord.
Parfait.
Merci.
Merci beaucoup. Item K, tree planting at the landfill, report ISPW 13-2019. Questions, comments, members of council? Councilor Associate.
Okay, so, I was really happy to see this, 10,000 trees were planted, with SNC in 2012, with the Boy Scouts, Trees for Tomorrow, and, I'm just curious about what the success rate was of the original tree planting in that area.
Yes.
And this is another area, right? If I'm
Monsieur Leduc, Monsieur Bourgon.
Merci, Monsieur Mayor. So yes, it is like another area. The original plantation was done in the old sand pit.
right.
And tonight's report really talks about the actual old the landfill site. Successful rate of those trees, I don't have the number, but I would say it's about half what was planted at that time. Just due to type of drainage, land, but unfortunately I don't have the exact number.
So now, but in where we're proposing to plant now, we've actually studied the entire landfill site area, and these are identified as the best possible sites to plant trees.
Yeah, that's correct. So there was 5 sites identified. There's one that's actually located on an easement property, so we're not the owner. We're just there's just an easement over that land, so obviously that one doesn't qualify. But the rest, yes, it was identified by our consultant that did the closure plan for our landfill, and SNC actually did some soil testing in those areas to maximize our chance of success.
And this area is drier than there was some wet areas in the original, so is this a bit higher or?
Yeah, this area is graded differently, so to offer better drainage.
And I was just going to suggest that the Environment Committee may be interested in being involved or assisting with this too, if they need some extra manpower, and if that's a possibility. So 6,000, and I saw the species, which was great. There was a varied species and of native trees, so thank you very much.
Conseiller Brisson?
J'aimerais savoir aussi sur la map, je voyais que la section 4 et 2 se touchent pas ensemble.
Section sur
La
la map.
section au nord, 4 et 2, comme tout, le 3, ça fait tout le tour du dépotoir. C'était quoi qui était physiquement qui faisait que ici, il ne pouvait pas le faire entre les deux?
Dans le fond, ça c'est pas le dépotoir se trouve en haut de la section 4 et 2.
Oui, c'est ça.
Donc cette région-là, c'est vraiment une région déjà boisée. Donc nous, on propose là, de planter des arbres dans des surfaces où il y avait où le compost et le leaf and yard est entreposé.
Parce que quand je regarde la map, il n'y a pas l'air d'avoir beaucoup d'arbres non plus. C'est pour ça que je me demandais comment ça fait que c'était pas.
C'est vraiment les régions qui ne sont pas boisées. Le reste, c'est vraiment ça ce qui existait en tant que marécage puis région boisée là, pour traiter l'eau de surface là, du dépotoir. Donc ici, on présente vraiment pour maximiser là, la plantation d'arbres.
C'est comme tu as confirmé, on a eu le consultant qui, ça c'est son rapport, puis aussi confirmé avec South Nation les meilleures places pour.
Puis je pourrais même ajouter aussi que j'ai fait le tour de la région avec le ministère de l'Environnement également, puis ils supportent là, à 100% là, ce projet-là.
Ma suggestion serait justement, parce qu'on parle pour pouvoir avoir une meilleure survie des arbres, de couper la végétation entre les arbres. D'où que ça serait là, s'il y a des trous pour des swamps à des places, comme tu sais, des baissières, s'il y avait un bulldozer qui était passé vite fait, que l'argent qu'on dépenserait pour remettre ça un peu plus égal dans la plantation, qu'on leur gagnerait pour l'entretien par après, d'après moi, puis dans la survie des arbres, là, que ça serait...
Monsieur Bourgon?
En 2017, lorsqu'on a fait les travaux de fermeture du dépotoir, toutes ces régions-là ont été égalies puis travaillées là, par le contracteur qu'on avait embauché à ce moment-là.
C'est juste que c'est rien que dans la map qu'on voit, il y a l'air d'avoir des régions plus...
Mais ça, c'est une map aérienne qui date sûrement là, d'environ 2014.
Non, je faisais juste le commentaire, c'est comme ça que quand on veut aller couper, c'est idéal quand c'est plus plat, c'est ça.
Merci. D'autres questions, commentaires? Quelque chose d'autre à ajouter de l'administration? Non? Move on. Item L, Infrastructure Services Semi-Annual Activity Report, Report ISPW WAT WW 02-2019. Monsieur Leduc, Monsieur Bourgon, anything to highlight in the activity report?
Merci, Monsieur le Maire. The first thing I would like to mention to Council, we have here that the ongoing project that there's 121 meter remaining to be changed. As of today, when I left the office, we're at 66. So just want to mention that we already went down to half of what was marked on our report. The staff is actually looking as well right now to do all the tenders online. So we're looking at that system it's going to be phased throughout next year, but that basically all contractors will be able to access our tender documents online. Well, like the first phase, we'll still do the closing with hard copies here at the City Hall, but as we're moving forward, we can end up being like all electronic. The United Counties of Prescott Russell are already doing it. They see good potential with that type of a program. There's less errors. There's no form missing. If you're missing something, you can submit your full tender. So those are that's something that staff is actually looking into.
Good.
And the last thing I would add to point out, basically, we've put the stats of last winter. So I just want to take a couple of seconds to congratulate our staff that last winter they once again worked hard to make sure that the roads and sidewalks are well maintained and it's safe for everybody.
Yeah, my hat's off to the team because every year, you see them going by during the snowstorms and people are trying to avoid the roads. They're actually there making sure it's safe for everybody. So kudos to the team. Questions, comments, members of council? Councilor Janowski?
I just had a question for you. In one of the areas in the report you talked about, only one farmer agreed to support the township by leaving a row of corn as a, act as a snow fence. I just wondered, do we offer any kind of incentives to local farmers to do that?
Mr. Bourgon?
And Mr. Matt, yes, we do. So basically, it's based on the area of corn that's left on the field. So you got the area times the yield, so that basically the amount of tonnage that the crop will produce by that acreage. So that's a formula that's being used by the city of Ottawa and other municipalities. So that's what we're using to compensate that corn that those farmers will leave on the field.
And so have we ever had more success than this low percentage?
That's actually our second year that we had that were tried out. We did 2 years ago was a small field off North Russell. This year we had more location, and as of now, there's more farmers that are interested to participate. So basically, we're looking more of our main collectors.
Okay, great. As a morning commuter, I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay. D'autres questions, commentaires? Quelque chose d'autre à ajouter, monsieur Bourgon? Non? Parfait. Move on to the next item, item M, Private Services Conversion Report ISWA TWW 058-2019. Council receives report ISWA TWW 058-2019 dated September 3rd, 2019, and approves the proposed bylaw for private services conversion, the construction of the sanitary sewers on Heritage, Richelieu, and Caspo, and the construction of sanitary sewers on Church Street. Questions, comments, members of council? Councilor Tarnowski, then Councilor Associate.
Is this the time to ask if we can remove that with consent items to do it as a step?
Yeah, we can remove that one definitely. Councilor Associate?
Yeah, I was just curious, so I just wanted to clarify, so no one is being forced to hook up, that's correct, right?
That's correct.
And, so why does the resident pay for a portion of the paving? Like I was confused by that, because then it says the township pays a portion of the paving, so who pays the rest?
Monsieur Leduc, Monsieur Bourgon?
Well, it depends on the scenario. If there's a developer involved, well, the developer will pay what he needs. Like if he would proceed on his own, so basically his trench reinstatement. So there's a percentage of the resurfacing that would go to the developer. So that means that the township would pay the balance. And if as an example, if there's 3 streets in that project, 2 is identified to be repaved, 1 that's not, well, the township would pay under those procedures the 2 segments that are due to repay, but not the 3rd one.
Yeah, I saw that, it said if it's in the 5-year plan, right?
That's it. Well, it's in the 5-year plan, or if it's identified as being repaid, in need to be repaid.
Right, so essentially if, for example, if it's a newly paved road, and then all of a sudden the residents decide, oh, we wanna go ahead with this project, well, you know, township just paid to have it paved, or we're not gonna pay a second time when it's actually not needed. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Councilor Tarnowski?
We're discussing it now?
Yeah, it's removed from the consent items when we vote, but it is discussed.
Okay. So I have a question. So for the Church Street, with 45 residents, that 77% takes into account the 10 that say they'll do it later without any timeline. So technically the ones moving forward as of now is only 55% if I take those 10 out. Is that correct? My understanding of that?
Yeah, that's 77, that's based on the ones that in favor, but in the future, you're correct.
Okay, and then the other thing, just pointing just to check that, there's a difference in the numbers between the French and English version. So in the 10 opt-outs, in French it says 6 later and 4 no response, in English it says 7 against and 3 no response. In the minutes, in the report that I wrote. So just to take note of that, whichever is the accurate one, doesn't make a difference here. My other question is, or just a confirmation if I understand this correctly, is that if we what's the best way to say this? If we not fund, but I guess if we
They haven't changed their
Welcome back, everyone. We think we fixed the technical problem for the website, so we should be back online live now. We'll move on to the next item, item N, Community Grants Report PR 25-2019. For one, to approve an in-kind grant in the amount of $618 to Club Joie de Vivre of Emblem for the rental of the Emblem Community Center for the Country Festival on September 28th. And item two, to approve an ad hoc grant of $100 to the Club Joie de Vivre of Emblem for the Country Festival on September 28th. Questions, comments, members of council? Anything to add from the administration? Pretty standard stuff. We'll move on to the next item. Item O, Recreational Complex Information Report. The council receives this information report, PR 26-2019, dated September 3rd, 2019, and approves the recommendation to pursue the grant application for the total project amount of $52,700,000 presented on August 20th, 2019. Questions, comments, members of council? Councilor Donosky.
All right, so it says in there that the province will notify applicants if their project has been selected for nomination to the federal government for review and approval in summer of 2020 estimated. And then further down it says applicants will be notified of the federal funding decision in fall of 2019, winter 2020. I'm just not sure that it doesn't seem to make sense. Is there a mistake in there, or is there a?
Monsieur Leduc, Madame Ducal, the province and the feds haven't lined each other up?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. No, it's just the way it's worded. So if you read it a different way, the federal will let you know in summer 2020 because they have the final word. You have to go through the provincial assessment first, then that's gonna be winter 2020 or fall 19, and then the province sends it to the federal, which will notify you for the final assessment in summer 2020. So it's, I know it's worded a bit
So we should know
strangely, but this
we
is
should
their
know
wording.
fairly quickly whether the province is moving it up to the federal level.
Well,
And-
hopefully, we would hope, because you have to remember that the deadline is November 12th, and then you get into Christmas time. So personally, I think that we will get the provincial answer probably around January, February 2020.
Whether
And
they move
then
it up to the
it's gonna
federal
be,
level.
if we are successful to pass this first assessment, we'll go to the one for the federal. That will be in summer 2020.
Councilor,
Just a quick clarification on the costs, right? So they presented a 52 million, we had made some, we had some discussions around that, you know, they talked about the walking track around the arena. There's a couple of other things, I mean, so from the, you know, when I look at on the page, I don't know, page 3 or 5 of the report, and it says, our project will be part of the multi-purpose category, the individual project cap will generally be 50 million in total project costs, but exceptions may be made. I don't think, and this may just be me, but I don't think we wanna go in with a project as an exception. Right? I would think we want to stay within the $50 million guideline. So is there a way that we can get that down to that 50 million number with the help of Colliers, based on the stuff that we've discussed?
Monsieur Leduc, Madame Ducal?
Yes, and I think definitely we will rework some of those components. We've asked Collier to make us a proposal. We should be getting this by this Friday, a proposal to make the grant application. So after that, we'll be looking at details. And yes, definitely, it's just that the province and the federal are proposing some exceptions, but like you said, I don't think we'll be going there, because obviously, if you go over 50 million, this means also that the municipal contribution will be higher than 26% also.
But the recommendation here is to go 52.7.
Okay, wow. Yeah, you're right.
That's what I'm saying, so
Yeah.
to
Yes.
me,
So should
I
we
think
go
we should
up
be
to?
up to 50 million.
Okay.
And if we get it under 50 million, then great, but I don't think we go over 50 million. We don't wanna be an exception,
No.
because it's gonna be harder for them to approve an exception than it will be to get approved if we say, you know, 49.9 or whatever. At least we're under the number. That's why houses sell for 59.9, not 600, right? So,
I think we took this number because it was the highest, the big Cadillac one of the 6 options that we had presented to council. So this is why we had put this number, but definitely, and I'm sure the consultant or whoever will be doing the grant application knows that it is to our advantage to be requesting a grant that is just under the cap.
You would hope,
Yeah.
but they take guidance from the proponent, and we are the proponent. And if we don't give them that guidance,
Mhm.
like an example, the walking track, well, we already have one, they concluded it anyway,
Yeah.
then you would think that they would have excluded it, but they didn't. So
So at this point in time, I'll ask that this be separate,
that's what I was gonna ask.
that amendments could be made at that point.
I'm gonna ask that it go up to a maximum of 50 million on the application.
Okay. Conseiller Brisson, Trenasky.
Puis, même si on accepte comme 50 millions, le projet n'est pas juste clarifié par sûr, le projet n'est pas finalisé. On peut changer encore au lieu d'un auditorium, ça pourrait être une bibliothèque, ça pourrait être n'importe quoi d'autre. Ça,
I don't think so.
No.
Monsieur Leduc.
sorry. Aussi, faut
Ben,
que
je
ça
pense
soit-
que rassurer le membre du conseil qu'on n'a pas précisé rien dans le complexe encore. Par rapport à qu'est-ce qui est dedans, qu'est-ce qui n'est pas dedans, grandeur, grosseur, siège, pas de siège, ça, tu sais, comme, ça, ici, je pense que qu'on mette 50 millions, 49 millions, 500 000, ça va être correct, à mon opinion. Sans avoir à préciser chaque item.
Mais c'est juste faire sûr que, justement, qu'on ne dise pas qu'on est attaché comme c'est là avant d'avoir vu les autres études. Dire, OK, ben, on est attaché à ce exactement au layout qu'on a eu, qu'à 50 millions.
Pour le moment, c'est qu'on donne aux provinces une idée du projet. Ils voient si l'idée et la grandeur du projet tombent dans leur perspective eux autres. Si oui, là, ils nous recommandent au fédéral. Là, ils vont nous demander souvent des plans plus détaillés, des site plans plus à contenu, plus spécifique. Mais ici, pour l'instant, on peut rester vague dans qu'est-ce qui est inclus, exclu, puis les chiffres peuvent changer assez facilement.
Puis je crois aussi que they're giving, construction has to be complete by, I believe, 2027.
2027.
So there's a lot of play here. Right now, I think they want to look at the potential project and the finances of the municipality to make sure that they're actually capable of going ahead with such a large project. Conseiller Trenasky.
So, sitting on the library board, I just want to make a point here that was raised by the library committee. This is a grant that's also available for new libraries, if I understand correctly. So I was wondering, and I talked to the mayor already about this, and so obviously we don't want to apply for 2 grants if one is going to kibosh the other. In your experience, is that the way it works? So if we put 2 applications in, do they say, well, I'm only going to give them one? I just wondering.
Monsieur Leduc, Madame Boutin.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure when I read the guideline, municipality can only apply for 1 major project.
Okay,
No.
thank you for clarifying that. So my last point to make on that is, I just would like to be advised, so on the 16th, we're gonna decide if we're going to an outside consultant for the proposal writing. Is there just a way to make sure that, and I'm sure that that's what they're gonna do, but just to make sure that we put this project in the best possible light, meaning that, in the original Collier's presentation, we talked about an auditorium, and maybe, a gym would give us better odds. How do we decide what we're gonna present in the package? Like, if the consultant should know this, or?
Monsieur Leduc, Madame Boutin.
What's the deadline to submit this?
November 12th.
So I believe that if we encounter these issues, I believe we'll be coming back to council to maybe question council to say which direction you want us to put in. I think if we get to that point where by filling in the application, if we see there's a roadblock somewhere, I'm sure we'll come back to council and say, okay, we've got a choice to make here. Which direction would you like us to go, if we go there?
Thank you.
Conseiller Larin.
And I think, Mr. Mayor, you made a very, I think it was yourself, or I can't remember now whose point it was, but I think it was yours, about the readiness of the municipality is gonna be key, even though it's 2027, that they have to be built by, which I would hope if we get the money, they're not built in 2027. But the fact is, we've already set out, when we started last year, and I throw this back to staff who did a phenomenal job with it, of setting in place that infrastructure, call it infrastructure SURF funds, whatever you wanna call it, for that $150,000, that come 2023, we would have the money to pay our share and continue to pay it back over time, so that we have, we can show them in this proposal that we are set up to pay our share. We don't have to do anything crazy, outside of the box, anything out of the norm, to gather that, our share of the money, which is, 26% of it, of the project, so call it, it's $50 million, like 20 million, no, even $15 million. I mean, I think we were set up for a $22 million investment, so I think we're doing very well to show that we're ready in that, with that project up to 50 million, so I think it's, they've done a good job, exactly.
Mr. Leduc, Madame Dutoit?
Yes, and if I can just add, like, if you look at the eligibility criteria that they were mentioning in the grant application, one of them is the asset management plan that we've been working diligently for the last 2 years. So that's a big plus for the township municipality. And the last three months of work that we've done is like, it's a really good step forward that most municipalities will not have. And yes, you can finish substantially the project for 2027, but the application needs to be in for November 12th.
Yeah.
So
And
that's not very long.
realistically,
That's not very long.
I think that both levels of government would like to see projects go ahead before, completed before next election rounds go ahead. So,
And in theory, ours could,
yep, most
at
definitely.
least for the province,
Yep,
so.
definitely. Okay, parfait. Move on to the next item. Item P was taken care of already. Item Q, amendments to Council's Code of Conduct, Report CL 13/2019. Council receives Report CL 13/2019 dated September 3rd, 2019, approves a proposed bylaw to amend the code as follows. 1. The section entitled Reporting Allegations to be more explicit with respect to the confidentiality of complainants. 2. The term in French for department head. And 3. The breach form attached as Appendix A to Council's Code of Conduct Bylaw 2019-021. Questions, comments, members of council? Councilor Janoski.
So in paragraph 1, I think the point was to remove the word must, and the way the wording changed to shall, I was always told as a young person, you shall not steal, and that means I won't steal. So it's kind of must and shall are pretty similar to me, but I think that the fact that we changed the wording now, sorry here, this just says the complaint must be reported, whereas before it said that a suspected breach must be reported. The fact that we changed it that says that the complaint must be reported, I think alleviates that. So the changing of shall and must is kind of irrelevant. It's just my opinion.
Well, it's the fact that any complaint is saying, if somebody's making a complaint, then it has to be pursuant to the code of conduct, whereas before, if I suspected something, I had to come forward. Now it's the decision is, am I making a complaint? So now if I decide to make a complaint, then that's the step you
I agree, but that's my point, is that the word shall and must, that doesn't really
Mr. Leduc?
As per legal advice, in this case, there's two different perspectives here. You were right, Mr. Mayor, when you said the first step was any suspected breach, you must report it. You shall report it. That was the case. That is the case currently. The way we write it here now is that any complaint made, so if somebody decides not to complain, and the word shall is to be, you shall do so by completing Appendix A. Shall is complete with Appendix A. And there's no longer the need to shall report any or any suspected. Now it's, if you decide to make one complaint, then you only use, you shall use Appendix A. That's the wording. So there's no, it's not simply a word, replacing word must by shall. That's not the case here. It's two completely different things. And so you remove yourselves from the obligation in any suspected breach that you have to report now. You remove yourself from that.
Want to say that?
Yeah, that was the intent of my request, and I think you've captured it here now by saying that I have the discretion to determine whether there's a complaint or not. So even if I suspect something, but I choose not to make a complaint, then I'm not going outside of the code of conduct by not reporting it, whereas before I must have reported it. However, now, if I do report it, then I have to use the form that's set aside in that, so I shall complete the form, so that's okay.
Yeah, no, my
If
point,
I'm making a
yeah,
complaint.
my point was that the word shall and must, like, it was pointless to change it, because under this way of writing it, whether it's must or shall, like, if you have a complaint, you must report it or shall.
Yeah, but
report it.
before
Same
it
thing.
before
I
it
know
was
that,
by a
I
suspected
understand.
complaint.
I understand, it's just that
Yeah.
changing that word makes the must and shall irrelevant. That's all my point was.
Okay.
So, as the person who requested this, I'm happy with the way it's rewritten.
Okay. Councilor Sosi?
Well, I have a bit of a difficulty with the confidentiality of the complainant, because even the integrity commissioner stated that it's necessary for the purpose of his or her report. So, having gone through this, I felt that, it's sort of your right to know who and why when someone states something about you, whether positive or negative. I think you usually have a right to know, because it's hard to defend yourself if you're not sure what was presented and or why. So that was a bit of an issue I had with that amendment.
Councilor O'Neill?
Yeah, this comes from a request from myself. I don't believe it's the what or the why, it's the who. That is the concern, right? And under the fact that we had to submit a report for a suspected breach, the person who was the subject absolutely gets to see the information in terms of what's the complaint, why is it being submitted, but not who. We get the ombudsman reports. We don't get to know who put those in on us, right? We get to know what it is. We get to know why they submitted it. We don't get to know who reported it. So what's the difference? You got an ombudsman and an integrity commissioner. They're both doing similar work, identifying if there was a breach of something. So why does the person need to know who the person was that put it through? It causes, and specifically at the council level, it will cause tensions of people at the table. Now we've corrected one of them in terms of having to submit on a suspected breach. Now we don't have to, which to me makes a lot more sense than having forced to do something when we suspect something. So from that perspective, I still think, if the ombudsman doesn't have to share the complainant, then why does the integrity commissioner have to share who the complaint was? And if they want to change it, then so be it, then we'll change it. But to me, I think there still needs to be an air of confidentiality to allow for people to put a complaint in. And let's say it's not even a member of council, and it is an outside person, and that person has to deal with council. Having their name out there kind of puts them in a bad situation too. So
I tend to agree because, we have whistleblower legislation to protect the people that are making complaints. If people are making complaints about council, council is in a position of power and authority, and if council is holding a grudge against somebody and that person's trying to do something with council, human nature, some people might hold grudges. Do we want to put our residents in a position where they think something happened, but they're scared to report it because council might hold it against them? And that's a position, if they're being forced to divulge who they are, then chances are, they might not report that, that breach, if you will. So I tend to agree.
the integrity commissioner knows who submitted the report, the clerk knows who submitted the report, but the complainant won't. Unless there's, I don't see what reasoning why, but unless there's something that is
Pertinent.
extremely pertinent to the situation, and the integrity commission decides that, yes, I need to share that information. But other than that, I don't see a reason why. I agree with you, the person needs to know what happened and why it was submitted. 100% agree, that was never part of the request. It was only the who. Because it leaves tensions here and it leaves tensions out there to here. So.
Councillor Saucier, then Councillor Kanowski.
Well, I understand your point, especially with the ombudsman, but I'm still kind of torn on that, because I just think immediately, anytime, you know, if somebody says, even in your job position, you know, we're not happy with your performance, well, who's not happy with my performance? You know, it's really something that is sort of human nature, I guess, because you can't always correct it if you don't know why, you know, and so I'm torn on that, so I think I'd like to pull this one and vote on it separately, please.
Okay. Councillor Kanowski?
I just had one last question. If there was a portion for payment, someone remind me what's the cost to make a complaint?
It's a couple hundred, 250? You know that, Kevin,
That's correct, Mr. Mayor, $250. And that's a refundable fee as well.
Okay, thank you.
If it's found there is a breach, then it's a refundable fee.
What's up, the ombudsman?
Monsieur Leduc?
Just to reassure council that paragraph 2 was amended by legal assistance. And also, it's part of the City of Toronto article or decision that the IC referred to. But certainly, how can I say that correctly? The interpretation of our IC on this article varies from what's recommended here. But if we were to read the full report, I think our legal has suggested to us to consider that this was a proper interpretation of the case in Toronto.
Yeah.
And so that's why it's only an opinion of, if it's necessary, because the issue was, did you gather the information for that particular reason, and why was it divulged to the public? So that's why what's being put out to the public has to be obtained the way it's supposed to, and in that particular case it was not, and that's why it was, the IC chose to divulge. But you have to read the whole case to understand the case, not only to read one line, and this is why the legal said this is the best way from that case to write.
And just to confirm, the way it's written now, the integrity commissioner can, it may be disclosed, if he deems it to be of value to put it in his report, he has that option to do so. So it's not saying he won't, it's saying that he can choose to if he thinks it's necessary. Okay. D'autres questions, commentaires? Quelque chose d'autre à ajouter, Monsieur Leduc? No? Okay, we'll move on. Item 12, reports from investigator of the ombudsman, we have none. Item 13, notice of motions, we have none. Item 14, question period on meeting the day. If anyone has any questions, I invite you to come up to the lectern and state your name and address for the record, please, and pose a question. I see no one moving forward. We'll move on to the next item, item 15, resolutions. So we'll have I'll ask for suspension of the rules of procedure to wait, we have to suspend the rules of procedures to move forward with item B as opposed to item A. So I need a mover and a seconder for that. Moved by Conseiller Brisson, seconded by Councillor Kanowski. All those in favor? All those opposed? I need hands, yes, I need more than the majority. Okay, so we have that. So now we'll move on, that motion that council approve all recommendations listed on the agenda under number 11, reports from departments and council committees. We'll put it on the table, and then we have to make an amendment to pull a few up. So moved by Conseiller Brisson, seconded by Conseiller Lorrain. And then I'll need a mover and a seconder to remove item M, O, and Q. Moved by Councillor Saucier, seconded by Conseiller Lorrain. All those in favor of removing the 3 items? All those opposed? The 3 items are now removed. So we'll now vote on everything except M, O, and Q. All those in favor? All those opposed? Carried. So now we will go back to item M, which is the private service conversion, report ISWATWW 058-2019. I need a mover and a seconder, put it on the table. Moved by Conseiller Buisson, seconded by Conseiller Tarnowski. Questions, comments
Which one, sir?
on the private conversion one? Are we good with it as is?
I'm good with it.
Councillor Tarnowski?
Yeah, I'm good with it.
Okay, so all those in favor? All those opposed? Carried. M is now approved. We'll move on to item O, which is the Recreation Complex Information Report. Need a mover and seconder to put on table, moved by Conseiller Larrain, seconded by Conseiller Buisson. Questions, comments? Conseiller Larrain.
I'm gonna request an amendment that the application does not exceed $50 million to ensure we stay under the limit for total project costs. If we can get it under 50 million, that would be great.
So, you wanna change total project amount up to 50 million?
Up to 50 million.
Up to 50 million proposed by Conseiller Larrain. Do I have a seconder for that? Councillor Tarnowski. Questions on the amendment? All those in favor of the amendment? Carried. All those in favor as amended? Carried. Item Q, amendments to Council's Code of Conduct. I need a mover and a seconder to put on the table. Moved by Conseiller Buisson, second by Councillor Tarnowski. Questions, comments, amendments? None? Okay, calls for the vote. All those in favor? All those opposed? Carried. Recorded vote?
Yes.
Yeah. So we'll lift our hands again. All those in favor? All those opposed? Recorded vote. C'est ça, Madame Camille-Laflamme?
Yes.
Okay. So now we go back to resolutions. Item A, notice of motion to amend something previously adopted or rescind.
Who was the mover and seconder at the beginning, before the recorded vote? No.
Before the recorded vote, c'était
Could have
Conseiller
been me.
Larrain.
I think we've been go now. Okay, thank you.
Okay. So now we'll go to the notice of motion. We currently have a mover and a seconder, Conseiller Larrain.
Based on what we've done, and that was one of the requests, was to have the bylaw done and changes to the two projects. I'm going to ask council to, I guess, just, what do? Do we defeat it? Do we?
No, it's not a.
Rescind it? Like, what can we do?
It's a motion to remove from the table. And, I think if the mover and the seconder agree, it can be removed, but I just want to make sure. Take from the table. After a question has been laid on the table, it can be taken from the table by majority vote as soon as the required business is disposed of.
Yeah, the business has been sold, because we did it in a different manner. Essentially, everything in it has already been taken care of through the bylaw that we just did, right?
The bylaw is in close
Oh,
reins.
no, we didn't, no, I didn't do. I didn't ask for the, I've asked for reconsideration to make an amendment to rescind the guiding principles.
Or we can give directions as staff and we can just bring something back. We rescind it at the next meeting.
We can do that as well.
That's what you do.
Postpone indefinitely. Motion to postpone indefinitely may be introduced when an embarrassing main motion has been brought before the Assembly, and the Assembly does not want to deal with it. At this point, a member can propose to dispose of the question without bringing a direct vote on the matter. Motion to postpone indefinitely may only be introduced immediately after the main motion has been made, before debate has begun, which like, it's too late to bring the motion forward. Ça serait celle-là? Is this where you get rid of it?
No.
Not that one?
Maybe the other one?
Withdrawal of the motion. Before the chair states the motion, it belongs to the mover of the motion, as she may ask to withdraw or modify the motion without permission of the Assembly. The chair shall either repeat the motion in its modified version or state the motion has been withdrawn. After debate has begun, a motion or request by mover to withdraw the motion may be in order, however, permission by the Assembly must be given. Motion to withdraw.
I'm making a motion to withdraw my notice of motion.
Is the seconder in agreement with it?
Yes.
The seconder is in agreement with it. It is now removed.
Which needs a majority vote to.
Nope.
Oh, I thought that's what you meant.
No, it's if the mover and the seconder decide to
There
take
you
it
go.
away, then we can just. Counselor Tarnowski?
So just to confirm that next meeting, staff will bring
Regarding principles?
yeah, so that we receive it, right?
Yeah, so yeah, I'll be brought back. Okay. Item 16, bylaws. Motion that council approve bylaws 2019-126 to 2019-132 inclusively for first, second, and third reading as listed on the agenda. Need a mover and a seconder? Moved by Conseil Brisson, seconded by Councilor Tomaski. All those in favor?
Hold on.
Christian?
Because I see something in here, I'm gonna ask that we remove bylaw to amend council code of conduct so that it may be voted on separately. So
Okay.
as a member of council has already voted against the resolution, I figured that she would want to vote against the bylaw.
Okay, so moved by Conseiller Lorrain to remove 2019-132, seconded by Councilor Soxi. All those in favor to remove the item? Okay, so we're voting on everything except 2019-132.
All the schedules fall under the same bylaw, right?
And then can we left on?
What's,
Because it says bylaw to amend council code of conduct, Schedule A to bylaw, Schedule A to bylaw, breach of code of conduct. I wanna make sure those are all captured under the
these
same
are,
vote.
the Schedule A is the form itself
Right,
Right.
to report to.
but because they're all listed separately here,
En
Oh.
2019-132, ça englobe toutes les trois affaires.
It's,
Okay.
yeah, there's two.
Okay.
It's one in French and one in English.
Okay,
just the reports are listed together, that's fine. Okay,
okay,
just wanted to make sure.
perfect. All those in favor? All those opposed? Carried. So now we'll vote on 2019-132 separately. Need a mover and a seconder to put on table, moved by Councilor Tonoski, seconded by Conseiller Brisson. All those in favor? All those opposed? Carried. Item 17, new business reports. There are none. Item 18, first item myself, budget discussions. I need to make a request for our budget dates to change slightly. The way the schedule falls this year, this budget, special council meeting on the 23rd ends up being the same day as I'm at the counties, having budget discussions there. We don't have much leeway, we're gonna have 2 days. I'm suggesting possibly that we do the first day on the 22nd, and that on the 23rd, we do like a start at 1 or 2 in the afternoon. That way I can have the discussions in the morning, run back here. That's one possibility. I'm open to suggestions. Conseil Lorrain?
Is there any way we can bang out as much as we can on the 22nd if we're doing a full day? And then, 9 to whatever time, and then if we have to come back on the 23rd, it'd be after 5 o'clock.
I'm okay with that. For the 22nd, the only thing I would suggest, maybe we start at 10 in the morning, since we have a council meeting the night before.
That's fine.
I think we've done that in the past where we,
Could be 10 till 9, who knows, right? We
Yeah.
bang as much as we can that day, And if we don't have to come back on Wednesday, then so be it, but if we do in the evening,
Since, but it's on the Wednesday that you have your meeting,
Yes.
why don't we left Thursday? Hein? Faut pas rester 24, ça va nous donner moins cher.
Can't go on the 22nd.
which one?
The 24th in the evening.
The other thing I was gonna propose is that we're here already on the Monday, can we do a few hours on the Monday before council meeting? And so that there is not gonna be a need for additional time past the one extra day?
The only, I'll speak for myself, the only thing is, now with a new job that I have, I'm 8 till 4 in the city, and I only just started 2 weeks ago, so to ask for time off is extremely difficult.
Okay.
So that's why I was gonna ask, before the mayor asked to change the date, I was gonna ask that council does 1 to 9, just because that'd be 1 day off instead of 2 that I would need. So, but if we do it, if we do the 22nd, which is the Tuesday, and just go from 10 till as long as we can,
Yeah, okay.
and then if we have to come back after 5 o'clock on Wednesday night, that would be my preference. I can't do any other days at that point in time. And I'm just saying for me, because my circumstance, for this
Everybody,
year.
everybody else, is everybody okay with, administration, are okay with that? It'll be a long couple of days. So we'll start on the 22nd at 10 a.m. We'll do as much as possible, and then we'll see if we have to come back on the 23rd, then we'll start at 5 p.m.
Is there any reason why we don't split up now?
Because we're here the night before till,
We're council on Monday night.
It's stable.
so that'll be a light council meeting.
Ideally, but we'll see. They haven't been exactly light lately, so.
Do we wanna consider starting the council meeting at 5 o'clock then? So we try and get out earlier on Monday night?
That's what we,
No?
because
Yeah.
I'm taking the rest of the week off because of these budget meetings, so.
Okay, so 22nd at 10 a.m., 23rd, if needed, we'll be here at 5 p.m. Monsieur Leduc?
Is it 23rd if needed, to me is an issue, because some department heads like fire chiefs and the library need to know when they're going. So it'd be hard to do that in one day. So most likely it's gonna be 23rd at 5. There'll be some need to meet there, I'm sure.
Okay. Well, the longer we go on the Tuesday, the less we'll do on the Wednesday night. Okay? Parfait. Okay. So that takes care of item 18A.
Can we get updated,
Calendar request?
calendar invites?
Yes.
Thank you.
Now I'll have to be reposted on the website. Okay. Any other questions on the budgets? No? We'll move on to, the second item was, Conseiller Brisson in regards to the Emblem Commercial Park.
Yeah, it was a follow-up, it's just that we did receive a correspondence from some owner of the Emblem Commercial Park, and it was just to know what, if something has been done and what has been done.
Monsieur Leduc, Monsieur Bourgon?
Is that the correspondence later last week?
Late into.
Ça, c'est la pétition.
Ah, c'est correct.
La pétition.
Oui.
Donc, la semaine dernière, nous avons rencontré là, les propriétaires qui avaient demandé la rencontre pour les demander s'il y avait des questions par rapport au ce qui leur était facturé. Donc, on les a rencontrés le jeudi dernier en soirée pour leur expliquer.
Y a-tu un settlement dessus ou s'il y a des changements?
La demande à ce moment-là était seulement de les rencontrer pour leur donner des explications.
C'est ça, qu'est-ce qu'on a fait?
C'est ce qui a été fait jeudi dernier.
Okay. Monsieur Leduc?
Monsieur le conseil, il faut se souvenir qu'on est quand même nos conseils. On vous a présenté la répartition des coûts, vous avez approuvé ça. Donc, nous, on n'est pas capable légalement d'aller à cette rencontre-là, puis changer la décision du conseil, s'en aller au conseil. Donc, on ne pas la question, est-ce qu'il y a eu un settlement? Il n'y en a pas eu parce qu'en quelque part, c'est une explication de la décision. S'il y avait une réplique ou une réponse à recevoir du groupe, probablement qu'on s'attend à cette situation-là. On va préparer un rapport au conseil pour dire voici ce qu'on pense de la réplique, puis est-ce qu'il y a une décision du conseil face à revoir cette position, si c'est possible.
C'était surtout savoir s'il y avait eu un suivi, parce que j'en avais pas entendu parler de tout ça. S'il y a un suivi qui a été fait, c'est pas faire de ça.
Okay. Item C, conseiller Buisson for the radio station.
Oui, c'est juste dans la correspondance aussi, on avait eu une demande de comité communautaire de Carlsbad Spring qui voulait commencer une nouvelle radio. Il demandait si on était intéressé de s'impliquer dedans aussi, mais il n'y a pas eu de discussion au conseil, ça fait que c'était juste savoir qu'est-ce qu'on faisait avec ça.
Oui, Monsieur Leduc.
Lorsque j'ai fait la demande, j'ai demandé une rencontre si M. le maire est intéressé à rencontrer le groupe. On a rencontré, M. le maire et moi, M.
Denis.
Ça va?
C'est-tu Denis?
La flèche. La flèche ou la brèche de Carlsbad, qui est l'instigateur du projet. Donc, on l'a invité à soit venir lundi prochain faire une demande officielle pour le budget, ou encore demander une délégation pour faire cette demande au conseil, ou expliquer son projet au conseil, puis demander une autorisation. Mais je pense que nous, on s'est montré très intéressés, puis sûrement que je vais mettre des chiffres dans le budget pour considérer cette demande.
Okay. Pas de questions là-dessus? No? Move on, Councillor Associate Terry Fox Run.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to invite the community to the 39th Terry Fox Run Walk on Sunday, September 15th, from 9 till noon on the trail, sur la piste et le 39e tour de Terry Fox, dimanche le 15 septembre à 9h de midi. We will have a start in Emmer beside the train depot and in Russell at the trail parking lot beside Mother Teresa Catholic School. I wanted to, unfortunately they're not here, but I want to thank our fire departments for ensuring that all participants cross safely. I also invite some of the mayors and councilors will be there, and we dedicate this year's event to two local survivors, Danita Oslin and Rebecca Smith. So I hope to see some of you there. Thank you. Merci.
Thank you very much, Councillor Associate. Quickly, we'll add two other items. One, obviously, starting this coming weekend is the Russell Fair. I believe it's the 161st Russell Fair. And as always, it's always a fun event. Hopefully the weather holds out, and fingers crossed. And they have some new activities this year. I see some forging. People want to try and make some metal, whatever. Iron, and you know, it's like that. I can't think that forged fire. Yeah, blacksmith stuff. So that kind of looks cool. I'm not planning on competing this year, but you never know last minute. But no, it should be some good fun. Conseiller Larrey?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's a great event, and obviously an event that the township sponsors as well. We put a significant amount of money, time, effort into that event as well, from staff timing to financial contributions and whatnot. My question is, are we promoting it? Like, are we putting it on our message board? Are we social media blitzing a Twitter, Facebook? Are we sending out a push notification on our app? Fair starts on Thursday, make sure you don't miss the fair. Just stuff like that, because it is such a big tourist event, and we wanna make sure everyone goes, and we contribute a lot of money to it. So, I'm just thinking that, for major events that we're supported through community grants, we might wanna at least put it on the board out front and get it out to some social media, on the social medias.
I see Monsieur Leduc taking notes there, so I'm sure we'll.
I have issues with the board in front because it's not for groups. We had multiple requests that we refused. And it's not necessarily our project either. We are contributing financially, but this is not our event. So we simply can refer to their webpage, we can certainly promote it, but there should be some limit to our involvement.
Councillor Associate?
And I just wanted to add that, like, for instance, myself, we can go onto the website and post our event on the township website. And they copied my promotional thing for Terry Fox, so there is an event page that anybody, so the Ag Society, their board could
Post where
utilize
we
that.
can. That's why we put it in place, right?
Right.
But definitely, as members of council, we'll be posting it on our social media accounts, trying to get it forward and try and have as much of a successful event as possible. And the last item I just want to mention was on September 14th, there's actually a trivia night in Embrun, which is to the benefit of our fire departments to help out with some equipment. Always a wonderful event. Anybody who hasn't been, it's a great opportunity to attend, have a good time. It's one of the little things that make this township so great. So I look forward to seeing people there and having a good time. That's it.
Going down.
Yeah. Yes, there is a competitive nature to the trivia nights. We'll move on. Item 19, public consultations, hearings. We have none. Item 20, closed session. Motion to move into closed session at the hour of 8:25 p.m. to address matters pertaining to Section 239 in the Municipal Act.